What is going on, Jeromes? Starting a smidge early today because, Daddy's doing some yard work, and that's the thing about that's the thing I love about Minnesota summers is that because Minnesota winters are so terrible, it makes you appreciate the summers that much more. So we're out, we're mowing the lawn, we're putting down new mulch. God, I'm old. God damn it, I'm old. But today is the day. NFL draft day is finally here. Thank you much for coming along this entire draft season with us. Hopefully it's a lot of fun. It was really cool to see all the Jeromes come aboard and just really get into the draft because the whole being a fan of the draft and certainly not considering ourselves a draft expert, just considering ourselves very much a fan of the process. It is a lot of fun. Plus, it's cool to see how many other fans of the draft are out there as well. Let's see here. Fire up the live chat. We got that going. What else do we have? Today we are during the first round of the draft, we will be doing a live stream. Now, I'm not going to be on camera the entire time, but we're going to have it up just so this amazing Jerome's live chat can just be fired up the entire time. So we're going to start that about 5 Central Time, and we'll run it throughout. So we'll chime in whenever something big happens. We're like, Jaguars did what? I mean, Tua fell to what? As well as you guys can watch when we record the Vikings pick profile that we're going to do up for the video, put up on the YouTube channel. There you go. So, guys, how are you guys spending draft day? It's weird for us because there's not really much hashtag content that we can crank out right now, even though we probably could. But it's like you do mock draft 95.2, which I guess we could do here in a sec, Electric Boogaloo, as well as we got a bunch of Q&As. Should be a lot of fun, and I can't wait. It's sort of like looking forward to Christmas. Like if you did mock drafts for your Christmas present. Oh, here's my Christmas present big board. It's like Super Nintendo #1. Come on, Mom and Dad, let's go. All right, so let's dive into a little Q&A. Also, live chat. So I fired up the live chat like an hour ago just to see people rolling through. Love our regulars. If you're brand new checking us out, you are the best as well. And also, if you want to support the work, hit that join box down below. Find out how you can become a monthly or platinum Jerome. Or if you want your question answered in the live chat, put it in the super chat. Toss a couple bucks in there. Abza Abdi. Actually, this isn't a sponsor, but it's just like the LaCroix. So as you get older, you find that you can't really drink pop anymore, or soda, as you non-Minnesotans call it. So you just get into like the sparkling water, and like it's like whatever. Like this ain't Coca-Cola, but I'd rather keep my feet and not lose them to diabetes. Abs Abdi. Perfect drinking game. Every time there's a virtual draft malfunction, you take a shot. You may be drunk, especially with Gettleman up there at 4. Skull Vikings 33. When the stream is on, there will be 8 hours until the draft. Can we all agree that Bobby be the latest hour? So right now, it is 8 hours until the draft. That thing kicks off at 7. Seth V. Herman. If we sign Harvin, we have to change the uniforms to go back to the classics, right? Now, are you talking about like classic, like full-on throwback, or like 09, 2010 throwbacks, which aren't great? There you go. Percy Harvin Vikings. So when the Vikings went to these unis, it was like, I want to say it was like 06, somewhere in there. Like I mean, they weren't great. Like I wasn't a big fan of them, and I guess like the road uniforms looked okay, but I will say that the yellow outline, and then they're trying to get too cutesy wootsy with like the stripes, and I just wasn't a fan. I mean, it looked like something that you'd create on Madden, where Madden has been notorious where you cannot create good uniforms. Like they're all just garbage. So yeah. Next up is Husgamer 15. How come most Jeromes won't be willing to trade for Ronnie Stanley? That's a good question. So we put it out to the people yesterday, where would you trade 22 and 25 for Ronnie Stanley? Now, yes, Ronnie Stanley, 4 years in the league, is going to be on his 5th-year option, is going to have to have some big-time money thrown at him, which is fine. I mean, again, if you're going to pay Trent Williams $15 million a year, why not pay Ronnie Stanley 17 to 18, which would be fine with. So Ronnie Stanley, 26 years old, has been probably one of the more underrated best left tackles in the game for a while now. Now, last year, it was amazing, but also how much do you credit that offense? Like how many true pass sets did he come across? But I mean, dude is a beast. He's also a technician in the run game. And I would trade 2 late first round picks for Ronnie Stanley and pay him and not give a F. And a lot of the responses on there were like, well, we got lots of needs to fill. Okay, but you were probably going to use one of the first on left tackle anyway. So why not get a dude who is just scratching his prime? Yes, you have to pay him, but hashtag cap is a myth. And you know for a fact that you have a top-tier meat-eating nail driver from day one. It's just something I didn't really understand. Husk Gamer 15. Where do you rank Rick Spielman in terms of GMs? Is he high in your list? And hopefully he doesn't change after tomorrow. He's high for me. Well, yeah. Who would I put up there? And Chris Ballard is really good. He's done great things in Indy. Before when he was in, I believe he was in Kansas City, he did decent things as well. I've always liked Thomas Dimitroff. I was not a fan of the Dimitroff drive last year when they traded up to get like Titus. Oh no, that was Houston. Chris Lindstrom and Caleb McGarry. I did question that. It did seem like moves of a dude that's a bit desperate, and I think that he and the head coach are a little bit on the hot seat there in Hotlanta, but I really respected Dimitroff. When he and Pioli were together, I think that was when it really came together. Let's see who else. Oh, John Schneider in Seattle, really respected what he's done. Of course, Eric DaCosta. How much of it was influenced by Ozzie, but I think DaCosta in his own right is becoming like I just respect what the Ravens, what the Seahawks do, just churning through. Keeping some of their core players, letting some go, getting great compensatory picks, and just they're always in the back end of the first round. They're always trading back, and yet they still get really quality talent day 2, day 3. And they're just able to cycle through the roster. Now, Spielman, respect, does that to a degree as well. And I would probably put him in the top 5. I mean, he's had so many pulls at the quarterback lever, though. Yeah. W Vang 0013. Who's your Avante Mackins draft for the Vikings, the player that you must have no matter what? I would say Andrew Thomas. Maybe Tristan Wirfs up there. Well, I mean, if we're talking like full-on fantasy, I mean, Chase Young. As much as we talk about don't draft edge in the first round, draft Chase Young. I mean, because the edge class is pretty meh. It's Chase Young and everybody else. Paz Mello, $2 in the super chat. Who would be your realistic ideal draft picks? I would say Hefe Gladney and or Jalen Johnson, one of the 2 quarterbacks. I'm really pretty agnostic about it. And then either Ezra Cleveland or Josh Jones. So getting one of the best cornerbacks in that second tier, as well as getting one of the better remaining left tackles in the game. That'd be great. I would be pretty upset if they just forced a wide receiver pick, like unless it's Jalen Reagor, maybe Brandon Ayuk. I would understand both those picks, but this wide receiver class is so deep, you don't need to force a first round wide receiver. Plus, if you do, that'll really put you behind the 8 ball when it comes in terms of picking up offensive line depth as well as that cornerback. Abza Abdi. Who would you want as a life coach, Al Capone or the Joker? Probably the Joker. I mean, the Joker was a way better strategist than he was given credit for. Like the entire planning to get caught in the movie, which has sort of become a trope in movies now, but everything that he planned came to fruition and it was great. Al Capone was more of a bludgeon. He really was, just like, so our bootlegging operation, we have to get above X Street. God, who is the guy that he shot? The florist. He's in Boardwalk Empire. I forget, but basically Al Capone was just like, I'm just going to kill everyone else. Like, there wasn't any cleverness. It was just full-on, like, bludgeon. Now, effective, for sure. Probably should have paid his taxes. Also, probably should have wore rubber. Wait, did they have rubbers back then? Because he died of syphilis, right? Yeah. Brian, yes. How many trades do you see Rick making this year? I say 2. 1 trade back tonight and 1 trade up in the 4th round. I'd say they stick and pick at 22. They trade back 25, but also they also trade up in the 2nd round, and several trade backs in like late day 3. Those don't really count, but I think the Vikings will come away with 3 second-round picks. That's my bold prediction. Ryan O'Sullivan. Andy, been watching every day, and I just want to thank you for providing constant content during these trying times. Love the channel and respect the grind. Love and respect you, man. Ryan, thank you very much for coming along, as well as all the Jeromes. rock stars, all of you. In the live chat, let us know where you're watching from. We'll give a couple of shout outs. Always love doing that. Ethan Medea Adrova, is the draft at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Central Time? Yes, sir. It all kicks off. Then Cincinnati just wastes all of our time taking up the whole 10 minutes. Just like, you're taking Burrow. Shut up. Just take Burrow now. You can do that, by the way. Kaiser Helm 14. Where would you be getting food from to eat during the draft? I'm having a home run pizza, famous pizza chain restaurant, Chicago, Skull. Don't really have any like big plans. Got a lot of stuff in the freezer. I mean, probably something easy that we can do. Have a nice little sit-down family meal outside because it's gorgeous now. I mean, maybe do burgers or. So, the wife doesn't like this, but the daughter, the 4-year-old daughter, really likes lamb. Now, she hasn't connected that Mary had a little lamb from like her children's books are like the lamb that we're eating, but she likes lamb chops. I mean, she likes them well done, but it's not really my kid. But I mean, lamb chops are really really good. Plus, you can get like frozen, vacuum sealed on dry ice. Some really nice like Colorado lamb ribs, racks. There you go. It's been a long day. It's going to be a long day. Next up is Cyberbully123. I wish teams had released their draft boards and scouting notes after the draft. That's going to be kind of funny. I mean, Daniel Jeremiah has done that to a degree. Now, he doesn't release like big boards and stuff, but he had scouted for, I believe, the Eagles, Ravens, and Browns. But it's really fun if you check out his podcast, Move the Sticks, with Bucky Brooks. It's really good. Like he'll go through like his old scouting notes. Like he'll go through his like scouting reports on like well-known NFL players and his hits and misses. It's really insightful. It's really entertaining. Stanley. Oh, by the way, if I was gonna take a TV personality and hire them as a GM, I would pick Daniel Jeremiah. Yeah, not just because he is phenomenal and I really respect his opinion, but he's actually worked in the system before. He's actually been a scout. Like, so like some of the, like, I think Mike Mayock will eventually work long term. I think no one in TV worked harder than him. Plenty of people work as hard, but Mike Mayock certainly put in that work. I think he may have scouted or coached for like a very brief period of time, but DJ was actually in the trenches for a number of years. Whereas there have been some talks like, oh, an NFL team is interviewing Todd McShay. Bullshit. Baloney on that one. Max, $2 in super chat. A little something for all you do to keep it on, man. Thank you, man. Every little bit helps keep the lights on, keep producer Allie happy. Absolute slave driver. Oh, by the way, you see the products down below from Teespring. If you use the promo code DRAFT now through April 26th, you get, I think it's 10% off. It might be 20. Don't quote me on that. It's either 10 or 20% off. It's really phenomenal. So get there. Get the Bike Flare shirts. Get the Green Bay Tears mugs. Get everything. All the products. Support the channel. Do that up. Bam. All right, so shout-outs. We got Vin Trisk from California. Shout-out Cali. Isaac Singer, Montana. I love Montana. Like, Montana, Idaho. Just phenomenal. Kaiser Helm 14, Chicago. Chi-Town. Mario Carmona, Oakdale. Powerful Oakdale in the house. DC, Chicago. What up, Chi-Town? Bill, Trey Billimer. How pumped are you for the draft? Very. Graham Anson, North Carolina. Come on, raise up. Preacher Paul, rolling through Fargo. Preacher Paul, hauling for all y'all. Appreciate what you do out there on the road. Skittletoff, huge Vikings fan from Alexandria, Minnesota. God, I love Alexandria too. Like Lake Carlos, man. Lake Bahamadoon. Come on, play it. Come on. Is in Denver now. Also, Denver's a really fun town. If you know what I mean. Let's see here. Dawson Mariner, Jalen Johnson. Husgamer 15, Skull from Minneapolis. That's right. Ben Niederhoff for Skull from Breckenridge, Colorado. I really love Colorado, except I'm not down on skiing or snowboarding. I'm just like, there's only two outcomes here. Like, one, you're cold and mildly entertained, and also you paid a lot, or B, death. Like, those are the only two options when skiing or snowboarding. Ben Jabrisky, shout out from Trempolo. Turtle. Skull from Rochester, the Med City. What's up? John Hardy's Barbecue, Rochester. 2 locations, phenomenal. And also Beatles, which is like a great sort of strip mall family restaurant. Just really phenomenal food. Next up, Whistle Bickies. I mean, I like Rochester. Rochester's a good town. Let's see here. The RSTB, good morning from Hawaii. Jealous. Jealous. Matt Cern, Skull from Rockwell City, Skull, Iowa. Yeah, Skull down there. Purple Rain, Skull from Wausau, Wisconsin. James Carvalho, Boston. Alberto Cotto, Chicopee, Massachusetts. There you go. John M., Minneapolis. Brett David Greenlee, Colorado. And lastly, Kelly Olson, Chattanooga. Chattanooga's a great town too. Chattanooga is really coming along as like a new like tech hotbed. I think just because of like tax breaks and whatnot. But Chattanooga's a fun town too. Like I really love Tennessee in general. You got the mountains, and Nashville's a great town. Memphis very underrated. Chattanooga has got a lot of charm too. It's great. See here. Next up is Stanley Morris, the one decision maker across NFL. Can you see having Cheeto fingers during draft picks? Well, Gettleman's probably the easy one. Oh, Steve Keim. You know that Steve Keim just chows down as he makes stupid picks. Eric Hansen. Grade this real quick. Fulton, Cleveland, Winfield, Higgins, Elliott. A++. I mean, if that's how it ended up, that would be phenomenal. Kristen Sorensen. Hey, Andy, I've been watching your show for over a year now. Always love your content, but I frequently have asked questions in your live stream or on Instagram. If you could possibly do a video about Gary Kubiak's offense in the past, how many no-name quarterbacks or running backs has he made to a top 5 in the league based on what you know? In your opinion, should be extending Cook and paying Cousin all the money? Well, just ask a question in the live stream or whenever we put out to the YouTube community, we put in there, just shout us for questions. I don't really check the Instagram much. I don't really do that. But let's see here. Bunch of questions here. Do a video about Kubiak's offense in the past. I mean, yeah, for sure. We could talk about, Denver. Brian Greasy was decent for a while. Jake the Snake Plummer after Elway had retired before Kubiak moved on to Houston. Also, now Kubiak didn't have any crossover with Bill Walsh, did he? No, because Shanahan was afterwards. But, crossover with Steve Mariucci. I know. Was he in San Francisco before that? No. Mike Holmgren was there. I think Mike Holmgren was right after Bill Walsh, which is pretty impressive. But, the running backs in Denver, we all know the story. Terrell Davis, 6th-round pick. Orlandis Gary, Mike Anderson, Ruben Drones, Clinton Portis, even though I think Portis is a 2nd-round pick. Then Houston, of course, Arian Foster coming in as undrafted. And probably was, with Adrian for a hot stretch there in the early aughts, the best 1-2 running backs in football. And that was purely in the zone scheme, as well as Ben Tate. If you remember Vikings legend Ben Tate coming on in. Let's see, next up is Extend Cook. There you go. Abzabdi. I love what Rick has done for us, but if things don't run smoothly this season and he doesn't return, could you see someone like Daniel Jeremiah take over? I would be very intrigued. I really respect Daniel Jeremiah's opinion on things, and I don't think that he would shy away from it. Honestly, I think it would really work. Plus, since him, a lot of GMs come up through scouting, but him being a true area road scout, I think he'll understand the resources that do need to go into it. I think he'll also understand the media side of things too. I think he'd play phenomenal in all those things. I think he'd be great. Sports Talk with Clay, $10 in Super Chat. I genuinely appreciate you as a person and your content. You bring me so much joy. That's really nice, man. Thank you. I'm currently attending University of Minnesota and majoring in sports management. I love to work with you soon. I love, Clay, thank you very much for the $10. But as a college student, keep your money, man. But thanks for the kind words and thanks for a shout out. Next up is Zach Ballas, over under Vikings 1st-round picks 1.5. Say under. Yeah, I think they trade out in 25. Brett Vuvuzelis, I read that Minnesota wants a fast receiver stretch the field. If they don't want Riggs, who do you think has us taking that speed? Well, Hamler would be the pretty obvious choice, just in terms of if you want a dude with just pure straight line speed, Hamler would be it. Claypool would be up there. Antonio Gibson would be up in that neighborhood as well. There aren't any besides Ruggs and Hamler, Claypool to a degree. There aren't any full-on John Ross straight line burners. There's very few Mecole Hardmans of the draft. There's not a Tyreek Hill, but also that might be a bluff too. Yeah, they want speed, and then they just get Antonio Gandy Golden. They're whatever, or Michael Pittman, whatever. Rick Spielman, I don't think that's a real Rick Spielman. Is there a way to show somehow for Trent Williams contract, Anthony Harris extension, bring back Evan, trade extending Dalvin? Who would have to be cut, restructured to make this work, and why? Where's this Mendoza line? Beyond getting into the real numbers, so like back of the envelope math, man, it's close. So the Harris one would obviously have to have a lower 2020 cap. He's currently on 11.4 or so. Williams small 2020 cap. It'd be similar to the Michael Pierce structuring. I mean, Dalvin, if it's an extension, then they'll maybe give him a small signing bonus because then it would prorate very tiny into 2020. Bringing back Everson, I mean, that'd be 5, 6, 7 million in there. Let's see here. Yeah, there would have to be a lot of restructures. Thielen would be a candidate. Harrison, maybe. Harrison should have an extension to begin with. That's an argument for another day. See, Daniil's already been restructured. I mean, Barr would be a candidate. Reef would be a cut or restructure guy. Actually, Reef at that point would just be a cut, save up that $8.8 million. So it could be done, but a lot of moving parts. Head coach. The Cowboys will trade their 7th round picks for 3 years to Ricky for your first round picks. Good deal? Probably not. Mario Carmona. Washington might as well just hand us Trent Williams at this point. They blew it so badly. Also, what do you think about Solomon Kinley? I like Solomon Kinley as like a day 3 pick. He's not a scheme fit at all, but at a certain point, you just get really solid players on the back end. So I do like Kinley. I think he's a little bit highly variant. Doesn't play with as good of balance as you would like, but you know. So let's hear. So PA just said, "Don't be surprised if there's more action for the purple and gold today than a Rambo movie." Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just checking out to see if the world had melted because when we're on live stream, like all the news breaks, but it looks like nothing. It's more, oh, this team could move up. This team would like to move down. Oh, no shit. Next up is Pulford Skull. Just like you said, training for Stanley. Vikings need to find a way to get Trent Williams. He's got plenty of years left. His proven me to upgrade improves the whole team. To do anything else with the current roster? Yeah, I mean, 105 is kind of my Mendoza line. Like that would be the tops. Like that, if I'm Spielman, that would be the offer that I have on the table for Washington right now. And then when the Browns at 10 get Andrew Thomas and the Jets at 11 take Mekhi Becton, and then all of a sudden that 105 turns into 132 or whatever the 4th round pick is, and it goes down from there. Yeah, Husgamer 15. Where would you rank? All right, that's that one. Shadow Gray Ninja. Question: if Everson Griffin came back, should the Vikings still draft an edge? Yeah, it shouldn't impact their draft strategy at all. I wouldn't draft one in the first round. There are a couple of day 2 guys that I like. Curtis Weaver from Boise State, Julian Aquara, Jabari from Florida, as well as like Travis Gibson from Tulsa, Carter Coughlin from Minnesota, Dirk Tutska from NDSU. I think there's some intriguing edge guys. Highsmith from Charlotte is a guy I'm intrigued by. But yeah, you don't necessarily have to go at the top of the draft. Henlik Byerlev. Also, it would be against tendencies since he came aboard, he has never drafted an edge in the first or second round. And the Vikings historically, they haven't drafted an edge in the first round since Erasmus James in 2005. But you look back, like B-Rob was either a 3rd or 4th round pick. Everson was a 4th round pick. Daniil was a 3rd. Afadi and Weatherly were 7ths. And then you look back through, Scott Crichton was a 3rd round pick. They tried to make him work out of Oregon State, not so much. Yeah. Henrik Byerlev. Assuming we stick at 22 and 25, who are we taking? Does Tua end this nonsense smoke show and go to the Dolphins? Yeah, I think Tua ends up with the Dolphins. 22-25. I mean, give me Jalen Johnson and Ezra Cleveland. Give me Josh Jones and Hefe Gladney, or toss Jalen Rieger in there. I would be happy as a clam. I really would. Preacher Paul. Do you feel that the Vikings will go O-line, or do you think they go D-line with the first 2 picks or even trade back? I would actually be pretty upset if they went D-line. So edge and interior defensive lineman. Like, barring Kinlaw falling, maybe Clavon Chason. I just don't see value there. I just don't, especially when they're, like we mentioned, those day 2 edge guys or day 2 defensive interior guys, Jordan Elliott, Justin Matabuke. God, who else? Oh, Blacklock, Neville Gallimore, uh, Devon Hamilton from Ohio State. If you want more of a nose tackle, I mean, there's a lot of day two value there. I just don't see a ton in just staying there and picking, Gross Matos or Epinesa. Max Kellenberg. I'm hoping we get Josh Jones 22 and either Rieger, Gladney, or Fulton 25. I mean, that'd be okay with it. Or just FNC Ruiz. Yeah, if the Vikings just went tackle and Ruiz, I mean, who's really going to argue with that? I mean, the entire fan base has been giving Spielman crap for so long. Oh, he ignores the O-line. Well, check this out, bitch. 2 first-round offensive linemen. What are you going to do? What you going to do? Probably still complain? Whatever. I'm Rick. Booyah Kasha. Hunter Williams. Skull from Coon Rapids. Skull to the North Metro. Do you think we're in Trent Williams? I feel like the Browns might be the front runner. If not, what about Joe Thuney? Thuney would be intriguing because, I mean, the Patriots do need a lot of cap space. Thuney's like signed his tender, but it's like $14 million and change. That would be intriguing. If the Vikings strike out on the top tier tackles, maybe entertain the idea. But yeah, the out of left field report of the Eagles potentially being on a Trent Williams. Now, is that just a dick with your intra-division rivals? Maybe, but I mean, you have Andre Dillard. Yeah, you're letting go of Jason Peter in all likelihood, but I mean, you picked Andre Dillard in the first round, and you're going to pick up Trent Williams just to put Dillard back on the bench? I don't see that. Nah. Ethan Griffith, Nathaniel Moody, or Jonah Jackson. I know Jonah's scheme fit, but I couldn't pass up on the upside of Moody. Yeah, Moody's ceiling is unlimited if he can stay healthy, but if you want to go the safe route, if you want to go the perfect scheme fit route, you want to go the perfect left guard route, Jonah Jackson would be the guy. So I hope that the Vikings don't have to make that decision. I hope that a team will draft Nathaniel Moody really early, and then the Vikings just get Jonah Jackson. But it would be a tough call. Better Call Saul, season finale was legit. Lalo can compete with Gus Fring, best villain universe. Yeah, I have a lot of catching up to do. I've watched the first 2 episodes of the new season, and then just sort of let the rest chill on DVR. But I will get caught up after all this draft nonsense is over. But yeah, Lalo is legit. Where Gus was this cold, calculated. I will kill your wife. I will kill your son. I will kill your infant daughter. Where you're just like really chilling villain. Where Lalo is this happy-go-lucky dude, like the kind of dude like you would love to grab a beer with and just like talk about life, and then he does like really terrible things. And yeah, the whole tie into the Breaking Bad, original universe when Jesse and Walt kidnap Saul in the first place, when he was like, "It wasn't me, it was Nacho." Oh, you're not Lalo? Who sent you? Was it Lalo? It's just kind of cool how Gillian and the team just tied that in. Stanley Maros, just like all business video conferences, the person working from home is always wearing no pants. How many GMs and coaches will be pantsless but have a dress up upper body? Well, I think a lot of them would like to, except they know that at a certain point they're going to get up and they may forget that they're on camera, and then they'll see like the boxer briefs. So I would say Steve Keim, though. Steve Keim, I don't respect as a GM, but Steve Keim seems like kind of dude you want to get a beer with, and then preferably get an Uber home with. Well, no, separate, but you know what I mean. Pulford Skull. Tell me you wouldn't do this too if it happened. Did a mock draft and run on cornerbacks and linemen. Ruggs and Judy were there at 22, as was Herbert and Becton. It took Ruggs and so he took Ruggs and Herbert. Yeah. Also, I really see a world where Ruggs and Judy are still on board. Pulford Skull. Happy draft day. Thank you for all you do, Andy. Thank you. You're awesome, man. Appreciate your content and news. Thank you. You and Score North are my favorites. Keep rocking it. Any bets on surprise big trades today? Big trades. Maybe the Patriots just say F and go all the way up for Tua. Belichick does seem a little bit desperate at this point, even though they don't have a second-round pick. DG, can you smell the purple rain? That's right. Ethan Griffith, have you scouted Jawan Johnson from Oregon as 7th-round UDFA wide receiver? Kid is a mini Des Bryant. Yeah, in terms of he's a big-bodied dude. I don't know how he necessarily would fit in what the Vikings want to do. He does remind me a little bit of Rodney Smith, if you remember him coming out of Florida State a couple years ago. I think he was a UDFA for the Vikings. And then He really strikes me as like Ricky Seals-Jones coming out of Texas A&M, if you remember him. Where is he a tight end? Is he a wide receiver? You would like him to be a little bit more physical at that size. And, well, if you're trading off speed and separation, you want physicality. You don't necessarily get that full trade-off, but, man. Kai Endall. Other than Kansas City, Seattle, Baltimore, Tampa, who has the best quarterback head coach combo? Huh. I mean, that might be it. That might be the entire list. I guess could you say Kirk and Zimmer? I mean, you can't really argue with Zimmer's track record, but also, I mean, how simpatico are they? Zimmer, on the offense. By the way, Zimmer was a college quarterback, and then he like hurt his hand, and then he switched to linebacker, which is such a Mike Zimmer thing to do. So you think that he had more empathy for quarterbacks? But I guess if you spend your entire career just trying to hunt them, yeah. I was gonna say Houston, but no. Because I forgot about B.O.B. Because Deshaun Watson. Oh yeah. I guess you'd have to give respect to the Saints and Drew Brees. Oh, Teddy Matt Rule, Carolina. Hey Teddy, come on. Tennessee. I mean, if Ryan Tannehill, if that's the new Tannehill, Tannehill and Vrabel make a lot of sense. But that's it. End of chat. Stanley Maros, do you think Goodell will boo himself while live announcing draft and make a joke about the countless relentless booing he received during the draft? Well, I like that he sort of leaned in and embraced it last couple years during the live draft. It's kind of funny. It's become a tradition unlike any other. But it is cool that he does seem like he is more in on the joke now. Also, they did a Boo the Commish campaign with Bud Light, corporate sponsor, which... jokes, once they become corporate sponsored jokes, they cease to be jokes. Purple Rain. Skull, I'm going to get my first Vikings tattoo upper arm. Need some ideas. If I use it, I will send a personal thank you. There you go. You can't go wrong with like the full-on logo. I would say don't get like players' names or numbers tattooed on you because you just never know like which one's going to be Aaron Hernandez. All right, hold on. So Vikings alternate logos. I mean, you can't go wrong with like the old school Vikings logo. I mean, concept art like this is kind of cool. But also, if you want to incorporate like Norse tribal trivial. So I understand like the entire like thought about tribal tattoos is really played out, but since this does have direct connection between the Vikings and like Norse tattoos, I've always thought like if you watch the show Vikings, and I think the show Vikings has actually been praised because they do use like authentic and researched like tribal tattoos and art. Like there's still some bodies that if they're preserved, you still get to see the tattoos. So I think working something like this in that manner as well as the Vikings logo, I think that looked pretty badass. Next up, Seth V. Herman. Do you think Ricky Spielman has seen any of your videos? And if so, do you think your view as a fan contact smokes impact on decision? I would say no on impact on decision, but I mean, probably. I mean, players and coaches and executives, they absorb a lot more news than you would think, or at least they lead on to. So I'm sure he's seen, probably some of our more ridiculous ones where we just spout out stupid stuff just because we're trying to pass the time and be creative and stuff, and then be like, heh. Tristan, if Andrew Thomas falls to 13, do you think the Vikings should make a deal with the Niners? Yes. Go get him. Jacob Brandt, $2 in the super chat. Andy, thanks for good work. Skull, thank you, Jacob. You're the man. Next up is Aaron Rodgers, BFF and lover. How would you feel if the NFL draft was the same as the NBA draft? So I'm guessing he's asking if it's a lottery. Just imagine the NFL doing the lottery, though. That would be pretty sweet. I mean, they would make that into a full-on event where the NBA lottery is kind of neat. Like I think it's during like traditionally during the first round of the NBA playoffs. It's on like a Tuesday though. So just imagine the drama of the draft. You got Dan Gilbert's stupid kid just like, we're We're gonna use this pick on Andrew Wiggins, and then let's trade him. Or Anthony Bennett. God, what a terrible number 1 overall pick that was. Yeah. I think he ended up being a Timberwolf for a spell too, didn't he? But yeah, I guess the lottery to prevent tanking or to dissuade teams from tanking, even though we've talked about tanking from a top-down level is hard to do because players won't be in on it because players' ass is going to get cut. Hey, I understand that I'm not going to be on this team next year. My ass is going to be out there putting on good tape. Same thing with coaches. Right? They get too much ego to try and lose on purpose. But a lottery would be fun, but then it would just fully go in on the conspiracy theories. Like, say the Patriots go 9-7 this year, miss the playoffs because the Bills get a spot, and then like the Dolphins rise up and get one, and so the Patriots end up as the 14. So the first team out of the playoffs, so like 18th. So they're like nearly dead last in the pecking order, and then they win the lottery. Ooh. Bring on the conspiracy theory hats. And then they just get Trevor Lawrence. Get out of here. Next up is Torrey Hansen. At pick 22, Kinlaw and CJ Henderson fall. Who are you taking? Probably Kinlaw. It's close, though. Hairfine. Let's get a Rick. Woo. Absolutely. Elijah Pearson. Who are your last-minute dark horses that you think the Vikings should draft? Let's see, like, in general, dark horses, I think we sort of beat it to death. Like, Ezra Cleveland the first, Jonah Jackson the second. Curtis Weaver, I guess, in second. Would he be a sleeper or dark horse? James Prochet in the mid-rounds. Malcolm Perry in late. Oh, I'd really love a Meek Robertson. James Lynch, I like a lot. Travis Gibson from Tulsa, I'm really starting to dig. I guess Alex Taylor, late, if you want a full-on super developmental guy. Shadow Greninja. Who do you think will fit better with the Vikings, Jerome Meadows or Epinesa? I think Epinesa. Like, if they are going towards the 3-4, Epinesa, the 5-tech, makes a lot of sense. I think Epinesa has just as high of a ceiling as YGM, but a much higher floor as well. Like, if you had to bet, if you told me that 7 years from now, AJ Epinesa is still on a team doing really good work as like a solid stout, either 4-3 under defensive end, or the a nice 3-4 5-tech. I wouldn't be shocked at all. Like a nice, decent meat potatoes guy. Where Gross Matos bombs out of the league in 3 years, I wouldn't be shocked. Landon Miller. If the Vikings were to trade up, what's the farthest they get? Does the return of Percy Harvin impact the Vikings draft board? Trading up first they get, I think they could probably get to 11. Maybe. Does the return of Percy Harvin impact the Vikings draft board? No. And he's a week 1 captains for both sides of the ball, even special teams. So I'm going to say Trent Williams, Kirk Cousins, Kyle Rudolph. Other side, Barr, Kendricks, and Everson Griffin. That's right. All my JD, special teams captain. Ben Geddien, maybe. So 7,000 mock drafts later, and today is the day. Praying Kinlaw falls to 22. Be nice. Imagine him and Watts on the same line next year. That'd be pretty sick. Top 5 picks are Kinlaw, Rieger, Winfield, Jonah Jackson, Meek Robertson. I wouldn't be mad at that, although he did completely ignore the offensive line. Oh, except for Jonah Jackson. Oh, and Trevor Williams. There you go. It's pretty good. Travis. Which team we're most curious about regarding who they pick in the draft besides the Vikings? I'd say the Dolphins. I mean, just because they're 3 first-round picks, plus number 5 overall, they aren't a full-on rebuild. I really like what they did last year. I mean, they really came together towards the end of the season as a team. I really believe in Brian Flores. I think he's going to get that team right. And it just does seem like they're primed to really get things going down there. Like last year when the Raiders had 3 first-round picks, and then they did that where like Clelin Ferrell and Josh Jacobs, who's pretty decent. Who else did they pick? The Raiders. And of course, you had Mike Mayock and the TV guy, and John Gruden with his 10-year contract. Josh Jacobs. Oh, Jonathan Abraham. Oh. Okay. Last year's draft was just weird. was just straight up weird. Also, what was weird too, so the Seahawks, like way before the draft, where Pete Carroll was giving out hints of who their first round pick was going to be. And I thought it was weird at first since they picked 29 or wherever they picked. Yeah. But the fact that they knew that they were in on LJ Collier and they knew that they were way higher on him than any other team last year. I mean, that's just weird, man. Just weird to me. All right, next up is Tristan. After the Dolphins draft Tua or Herbert, do you think the Vikings should trade for Josh Rosen to be a backup until Cousins' contract? Yeah, I would be fine with it. Give up a fifth? Sure. Griffin Pugh. What O-line do you think the Vikings should trade, take with the 22nd, 25th pick? Well, interior offensive line, I think it's only Cesar Ruiz up that high. Or tackle-wise, Josh Jones, Ezra Cleveland. I would understand Austin Jackson. I wouldn't be necessarily thrilled about it. That's about it. Travis Tiedemann. Do you think the Vikings will trade 22 with the Colts on draft day? Maybe. 33, 34 one time. 34, 44 one time. Sam Becker, heard news that we'll pick a player 22-25. What do you think we can get with the 25th pick? I don't know. Players. Kevin Valdez, would you rather hit a Game 7 winning 3, hit a 63-yard field goal for the Super Bowl, hit a walk-off home run in the World Series, 35-yard birdie for the Masters? I guess I would say Super Bowl. Since, I mean, how many game-winning home runs do you remember from the World Series? Joe Carter? And who remembers Joe Carter outside like hardcore baseball fans? But people remember the Super Bowl. NBA is whatever. Masters is certainly whatever. Yeah, I'd say field goal. Mr. Popo, how many years do you give Barr before he starts to lose his prime? 4. Samson Romaine, who will be more successful next season? Kevin Stefanski at Cleveland or Stephon Diggs at Buffalo? That's pretty close because I mean, Daboll and the Bills still is Brian Daboll, right? I mean, they were pretty legit last year. They're playing towards Josh Allen's strengths. I think Stefanski is able to get the immense amount of talent that Cleveland has their head out of their ass. Where last year, Freddie Kitchens was just in way over his head, and then he turned into a petty tyrant. So I think Stefanski with Baker, with OBJ, with Nick Chubb, with Jarvis Landry, with David Njoku, with that solid offensive line, which hopefully they're going to add a left tackle at 10. I mean, yeah, I'm going to say Stefanski. Eric Hansen, assuming Gronk is still the WWE 24/7 champ, when do we play the Bucks? Which Viking is most likely to hook the leg after a tackle for the 3 count and win the belt? No, you cannot pick Vic Flair. Woo! So probably Daniil. Of course, Daniil. Hayden Ziegler. Actually, Michael Pierce. Michael Pierce, by the way, seems like a very hilarious dude. Like, very gregarious. I think he's going to become a really big fan favorite quickly. I mean, Michael Pierce would be... I know that people don't like happy-go-lucky personalities with their wrestlers to a degree. I guess The Miz, I guess, is sort of goofy, but yeah, Michael Pierce maybe. Hayden Ziegler. Who is the best quarterback in the 2021 class not named Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence? Vikings probably draft a quarterback in 2021, but Fields and Lawrence will likely be out of range. Ian Book from Notre Dame is intriguing. I'm trying to think who else will actually declare. Oh, here we go. Let's pull up a handy-dandy 2021 NFL Draft QB rankings. Of course, names are going to pop up out of nowhere. Like, who was really, this time last year, in on Joe Burrow? Really no one. See, Jamie Newman from Georgia, who's taking over. He transferred from Wake Forest. Oh, Kellen Mond. I mean, how many times has Kellen Mond just transferred? KJ Costello from Mississippi State. Sam Ellinger. That would make a lot of sense. Oh, who was the SMU jabroni transfer? Who was at Texas? James Prochet helped light things up. Oh, Tanner Morgan from Minnesota? Maybe. Let's see. Kyle Trask from Florida. The name's been thrown around a lot. SMU quarterback. Oh, Shane Bouchelele. Shane Bouchel from SMU. Put up monster numbers down there with James Prochet. Prochet and Bouchelele. But of course, I mean, yeah. Actually, if there is no college football, I wonder how things are going to shake out, because then all you have is the tape that you got. That would be super intriguing, but I hope there's college football. Thomas Danielson, if you could trade for any coach or coordinator in the NFL, who'd you want? Also, who do fans despise more, Packers or Bears? Packers fans. Any coach or coordinator. Well, Belichick. Belichick may want out. Belichick, Andy Reid, Tomlin, Harbaugh. Coordinators, Leslie Frazier. Actually, that'd be pretty hilarious. Even though he's never coordinated at the NFL level or even collegiate level, I'm super intrigued by Joe Brady. I mean, just what they did in a one-year turnaround to LSU. I think his concepts will work extremely well at the NFL level. I'm excited to see what Carolina and Teddy do with Matt Rule and Joe Brady. Last one, Ben Gundelson. Dolphins offer the entire draft stock for Hunter, Kendricks, Barr, and Harrison. You're the GM. Do you accept? Well, they have 14 picks, I believe. 3 first-rounders. No, it's not even close. I would barely take that for Daniil. Yeah, that's what's up. All right, and that is... We're going to wrap this up a little bit early since we got a lot of stuff to do later on today. So, again, 5 p.m. Central Time, we're going to start up the live stream, live chat. So join that up, and we'll have all the picks, we'll have all those videos, all that other stuff. And, again, thank you guys so much for coming along. Till next time, or till later on. Skol, production value.